Hello friends, has it ever happened to you that you started working towards a new goal or you picked up a new project only to give up on it within a few weeks? Well, if this has happened to you, you're not alone. It happens to many of us out there, including myself, where we rely on motivation, and when motivation dries out, then all our effort just crumbles and we let go of our goals and that project that we started. So in this video, I will talk about, or I will argue, why motivation is the real enemy and how you can achieve your goals without relying on motivation. Rather, how to avoid the pitfalls and traps of motivation and still be able to achieve your goals. Now, the core problem with motivation is that it is fleeting. You cannot rely on motivation. There are days when you just feel motivated and you can go in the gym and you can bench press your max. And certainly then there are days when there is no motivation at all. Rather, there are times, days or moments when you feel demotivated and then you don't do that activity at all. And once you stop being consistent and stop going to work out or stop working on that particular project that you were working on altogether, you just give up on those dreams, on that goal, and it just collapses. So when you're relying on motivation, or when your target is all linked to motivation and motivation is the one which is driving you, well, very easily it will also hold you back, rather bring you down, because it will just fly off. It will just move away. And second issue with motivation is, especially when you're relying on it, is that it kinds of questions, or you start to question your grit, or you start to question your abilities. Because for instance, you start working out or you start working on a particular project just out of motivation. And after a couple of days or weeks, when you don't feel motivated further, you just let go on it. And when it happens to you 2, 3, 4 times, you just start feeling bad about yourself and you feel that whether you're not capable enough, whether you don't have the ability, all these people out there who've made it, who've done it, who are regular with their workouts, who've started their own business, who've been able to achieve financial freedom or all the goals that they wanted to achieve, were able to do so because either they were lucky or they had the grit or they had the ability. So I don't have any of those. I'm not lucky, I don't have the grit, and I don't have the capability. So you go into a self-doubt. So one, it is fleeting, it will never stay there forever and eventually will let your project or your goals collapse. And second, it will just keep you in self-doubt as it just goes away and your project is crumbling or your goal is just crumbling in front of your eyes. Now, one call out in case you find any value from this video, I have to ask for you. One, press the like button as this keeps me motivated. Second, press the subscribe button along with the bell icon so you get notified as soon as I put a new content on this channel. On this channel, I post content pertaining to primarily financial and career success for early and mid-career professionals. Apart from that, in case you want me to continue making unbiased content like this, you can support me on patreon.com. I will leave the link to my Patreon page in the description of this video. Now let's get rolling back into the video. Now here's the solution. Number one is you have to start with your why. Why do you want to pick up that particular project? Why do you want to achieve financial freedom? Which is, why do you want to save? Why do you want to work out? You have to be very clear as to why you want to do it. And this has to be very clear to you. You need to read on it. You need to make sure that you absorb and understand that this particular thing is very, very, very important. Because if something is not important to you, you will never make it happen. So it has to be really important to you. Again, because we rely on motivation, we don't work on our why. We are just motivated. We just want to get those abs or that beach body and we'll go and work out for a couple of weeks. And then it just dies because we never had the long-term vision or the why in our mind. So if you want to get rid of motivation completely, because as I argue, it is the enemy, which you should get rid of motivation completely and work on your goals without motivation, then you need a purpose. You need to have a clear why, a clear understanding of why you want to do this day in, day out. So this is number one, primary reason or primary thing that you need to call out or define before you start anything. Number two is, before you even become someone who has six packs, someone who is financially free, someone who has started their own business, you have to become someone who shows up for every or any goal that they've called out for themselves. Whether there is motivation, there is no motivation. Come rain, come shine, you are the person who will always show up. Now here comes the question is, how do I become that person who shows up every time, who shows up consistently? Well, for that, you have to define and you have to create a process which has certain steps that you will take regardless whatever happens, so you can become the person who shows up. And eventually the result or the outcome that we want is for you to become someone who shows up. So you need to create that process which has those actions which you will take on regular basis consistently in a way that it makes you become someone who shows up. And now I will talk about how the process should look like. Rather, what I will also do is I will share some examples from my personal life, how I have created those processes for myself. You can either copy them completely as is, or maybe even tailor them, whichever way it suits you the best. Now, the idea here is that the process should be designed in a way that it keeps you on task, no matter what, whether you're motivated, you're demotivated, whether you are happy, you're angry, you're sad, whatever the emotion is. The process is so robust and designed in such a way and so powerful that no matter whatever the emotion is that you're feeling, you are still able to perform that task. And as soon as you perform that task, you become someone who shows up irrespective. So now what I will do with you is I will share some guidelines which you need to apply in whole. Like, all those guidelines need to be applied completely as is for you to create a process which is error-free, which is motivation-free. And when I'm explaining those guidance or guidelines to you, what I will do is I will share some personal examples, as I mentioned, and they will be around one, me getting to learn a musical instrument, which was guitar, and later it was a piano. Second, my workout journey and how I became regular in working out on daily basis. And third, my YouTube journey, how I was able to sustain and maintain making videos despite not being able to deliver the results that I wanted to deliver, despite having no motivation. So I will make use of these examples interchangeably to explain those guidelines that I will talk about. But importantly, as I said, or more importantly, as I said, you need to make sure that you apply those guidelines in full. You cannot just pick and choose. You can obviously pick and choose, but the impact would be less. For it to have maximum impact on you, you need to apply all of them, use all those steps as is. Now, before going in the guidelines, it is very, very important that you establish certain beliefs, because if you don't have that belief system, it will be very difficult for you to implement those guidelines, and eventually something will crack out and something will break and you won't be able to become the person who shows up. Number one is, put it in your mind and just remember, this is like the primary belief, which is that overnight success is 10 years in the making. So it will not happen in 1 week. It will not happen in 1 month. It will not happen in a couple of years. It will take longer. Whatever that you want to achieve will take longer. But here's the beautiful thing. Every time those 10 years pass by and you don't act on it just because you think 10 years, that's a lot. But after 10 years, you will certainly be regretting. You would look back and you would go like, I wish I started 10 years ago. So just remember, it will take 10 years. So you have to get that mindset adapted, which is that whatever you will work on, whatever journey you will embark on, will take longer. It will take time. It will be a slow journey, but it will certainly give you the results that you want. Second is, you need to set up this belief in your mind that you are your only comparison, which is you have to stop comparing with other people. You have to compare versus yourself a day ago, a couple of months ago, a year ago. Let's say if it's about working out, you just need to see how much are you lifting today, how much did you lift yesterday, how much did you lift a month back. You cannot compare with someone who has been lifting for a very long time or someone who has a different genetic makeup altogether. So the only valid person or only valid individual or entity you can compare with or compete with is yourself. Is yourself 1 day ago, 2 days ago, couple of weeks ago, couple of months ago. So you need to get better versus that person. If that happens, then you will be on the right path. So you give yourself time, 10 years in the making, overnight success, and then you compete versus yourself. That is how you will stay on the right path. So these two beliefs are very, very essential before you apply any of the guidelines, which I will talk about. Now, number one guideline when setting up the process is that you need to start small. You need to keep whatever initiative you're working on very small. And the idea to keep it small is that it is so small in terms of the time or resources that it requires or it consumes that it is kind of meaningless for you. So here's an example. So when I wanted to pick up guitar, I tried a lot. I bought guitar many times, but I ended up selling it back on the marketplace just because I didn't have time. Or I tried playing for a couple of weeks and then I just got frustrated because nothing was coming out of it. And I was like, maybe I'm just not able, or I don't have the capability, or I am just not lucky, don't have that in my DNA where I can play a guitar. So this is what I did. This time around, when I bought a guitar, I told myself I will only play for 5 minutes per day, and that's it. So I would put a stopwatch in front of me and start the stopwatch and make sure that I don't play a single second above 5 minutes. Now what this did was, it made the event so small, like 5 minutes a day is nothing, that I would not feel bad after a couple of months, or not feel frustrated after a couple of months when I knew I didn't pick up the guitar or pick up the song that I wanted to learn, just because I was spending only 5 minutes a day. It was so negligible for me that it didn't feel painful for me investing that resource, that 5 minutes per day. However, what happened is, over a period of time, like 6 months, 7 months, I was able to pick up a song or two. It was slow, but I was surely able to do it. And this is what I argue with my friends as well. Would you rather be someone who works out for 1 month, but just works out crazy, like works out for 2 hours a day, and then just doesn't work out at all because you gave up all you were highly motivated for that month, and then you just gave up because 2 hours a day is just a lot of time commitment for you to make for the entire year? Or you rather be someone who just only works out 20 minutes a day, but does it for the full year? Which is beneficial, working out 2 hours a day for 1 month, or 20 minutes a day for a year or for lifetime? And this was my argument with learning guitar as well. Would I rather be someone who practices guitar for 1 hour, 1 day, but just for a month, because after a month I would feel like I didn't pick much, because things take time and compounding needs to kick in. And then I just start to feel frustrated because 1 hour is a lot of time commitment during the day, and committing 1 hour against something that I'm not learning is just frustrating. Or you rather invest 5 minutes, but you invest it for 5 minutes every day, but you invest it for a full 1 year, or rather for the lifetime. Which one will deliver better results? It is the 5 minute, the small investment. So keep whatever initiative you're working on, keep it very small. And as I said, I didn't let myself go above 5 minutes till I was 6 months in the journey. I learned a song or two, and once I learned a song or two, I really started to enjoy it. Now when I'm enjoying it, now the motivation is there. And now the motivation has kicked in, the passion has kicked in, the fun has kicked in. And once that happens, you start to enjoy it. And then you don't need to hold yourself to 5 minutes. You can let it pass more, or you can let it grow. But for the period when it's frustrating, just keep it small. Even though there were days when I felt like I can go for 10 minutes because I had time, I felt motivated. As I said, I was like, I can spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's fine. Rather, let me spend 15 minutes today, and tomorrow I'll come back to 5 minutes. But I avoided that trap because I knew that day will come and I'll go like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend that much time. It's not working out, especially the fact that it's not working out. I'm not learning anything. I spent like 20 minutes a day for past 1 week and nothing is showing up. I rather spend only 5 minutes a day, and after a month say nothing happened, I didn't learn much guitar. However, it's still 5 minutes a day. I'll continue doing it for another 6, 7 months, a year or so, or rather 10 years, and we'll see what happens. It's a very small investment. Second tip is keep it easy. Here I will give the example of my YouTube journey. What I've done here is I've created a setup here of my YouTube where I have lights here, I have a mic here, I have my laptop in front of me with some notes, I have a camera here, and my setup is all ready. All I do is I come in my basement, I sit down, I press the record button, and it starts rolling. This is how I've kept it so simple. The process is so simple that there is no frustration. There isn't much work that I have to do, because if it was difficult, or if I had to set up things from scratch, and that was the thing I used to do initially, because I didn't have a dedicated room. So every time I wanted to make a YouTube video, I had to install the lights again, put the mic again, put my laptop, put the camera, and all this would take me like 20 minutes. So my video making process was not just the 20 minutes of recording, rather also 20 minutes of setting up and then 20 minutes of setting down. So good 1 hour would be gone. So given it was so cumbersome, it was not simple, it just started to create a lot of frustration. And initially I had a target of making 1 video per day, and then it started to just fall through the cracks. And hence I compromised my YouTube journey in the initial months just because I didn't keep the process simple. For the first couple of weeks, I was motivated. It didn't matter. I would just set up everything because I was motivated. I was like, I'll put up a video, I'll have views, subscribers, and wow. But subscribers didn't show up, the views didn't happen. And then the motivation started to crumble. And as it was crumbling, Every time I would have to put up the setup, it would be a monstrous task for me. And I was like, okay, this is just frustrating. I won't be able to do this. But what I did was I just created this seamless setup where I come in, press the record button and make the video. Another thing I did, especially earlier in my journey, is I would make smaller or shorter videos. So currently I make videos which are like 15 minutes long on average. But previously, since I was not trained with regards to speaking in front of the camera, again, there was a lot of time required to set it up. What I would do is I would make very short videos. So it was very easy to make. I kept it very easy, kept it very simple. So I don't have to have a long script in front of me. I don't have to research a lot. And also I keep videos short. Even if there was a topic which required more time, I would just break it into 2 videos, which allowed me more content to be posted during that particular month. So the next guideline is be prepared. Be prepared for life to happen. Something will happen. Either you'll get more work from your 9-to-5 job, or there will be more stress, or you'll have to work on weekends, or maybe you just fall sick. So this is what I learned from one of my friends who, when he was designing his workout plan, what he did was he designed 2 workout plans for himself. One was a standard normal workout plan, let's say some squats, some bench press, whatever it will take him like 1 hour to work out. And then he had another plan, which was like mandatory plan, which is come rain, come shine, has to happen, which was like a 20-minute workout. So he had 2 workouts. One was a 1-hour workout, one was a 20-minute workout. The idea here was to allow himself to still be able to work out even if he's not feeling well, even there is stress, even if there is more workload, even if he doesn't have time in the day, he can still carve out 20 minutes per day and not spend the whole 1 hour to work out. Now you can change it to even 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but you have to have that plan for workout written down, which is a mandatory plan. Even if life happens, you can still do that particular plan. Because what it will do is it will not create any or bring any abs for you. It will not do much for your heart or health, but it will make you someone who shows up. So even when it's raining, when you're not feeling well, when life happened, when there is no time, you're stressed, you can still do squats for 10 to 15 minutes along with some push-ups. So you become a person who shows up. So make sure you do that as well. And it is okay even if for the initial period, most of the days you are doing the mandatory workout as against the workout that is the major workout. Because remember, initially or earlier in the project or when we are trying to achieve our goal, we are trying to become someone who shows up. Because once you become someone who shows up and you have that capability, you have that build that muscle, then you can conquer any mountain, any struggle. Now, next guideline is to make it part of your routine. Whatever you're trying to do, whether if it's 5 minutes a day, make it part of a regular routine. Don't let it be on ad hoc basis. Like if it's workout, find out the best time that you think is right for you and work out every day during that slot. So for instance, with me, the guitar playing journey was 5 minutes before going to bed. So every day I would play guitar for 5 minutes just before going to bed. And since it was baked into my routine, I knew that just before going to bed and after I've done or brushing my teeth, I have to play guitar. So it became a regular or routine process. Make it a routine, because otherwise if it's just on ad hoc basis, you will always be trying to find space for that activity within the day as the day starts, and you will always be kind of putting it later towards the day because you have not identified the slot for it. So what I mean is identify the right slot for it in your day when you will do that task. Now the next guideline is to find an accountability partner. What I mean here is, and rather let me explain with an example. With regards to my YouTube journey, I have this group of aspiring YouTubers on WhatsApp where we share learnings, where we share inputs, and where we also encourage each other. So there are days when I'm not motivated and I would just write to my friends saying, guys, it's just not working out. I'm not getting enough views or subscribers. And then everyone would just jump on the chat and encourage me, motivate me, share their own learning, share their own demotivations when they felt demotivated and how they recovered from it. So when you have such a support group or an accountability partner, that kind of just helps you stay on task. So make sure you find that. Now talking about the routine, here is another guideline, which is you should establish a slot in the day for that particular activity where your willpower is maximum. If you are a day person or a morning person, then you should allocate time for that activity in the morning. If you're a night person, then you should allocate time for that activity at night. So for instance, I'm a morning person. When I wake up, my willpower is maximum. I feel energized. I'm good. I can just ace, or I can just cross any mountain. However, as the day passes, my energy starts to dwindle, and then by the end of the day, I'm just tired and my willpower has exhausted. So with regards to my YouTube videos, initially I would try to make it at night. The reason was my kids would be in bed and it would be easy for me to just come down in the basement and record a video. However, it would just take me a lot. There would be a lot of energy required. I would make a lot of mistakes, a lot of cuts. And then I realized it was taking me, let's say, 1 hour to make one video at night. And when I would make the same video in the morning, it would just take me 20 minutes. So I save a lot of time, I save a lot of frustration if I do it during the hours when my willpower is most. So identify the slots in the day where your willpower is maximum and then allocate slot for that particular project or goal during that time. Lastly, reward yourself. Here, when you're working out or you're on a nutrition plan, make sure you have a cheat day. For instance, with regards to my YouTube journey, every time I get a paycheck from YouTube, I spend a portion of that paycheck on something nice, something I can enjoy with my family, with my wife. Usually it's a dinner outside. So reward yourself, because that way you will be seeing the fruits of the effort that you are doing and also enjoying it as well. So as I said, with regards to working out, it could be just one day a week where you can eat some sweets or something that you can indulge with regards to your nutrition, but just keep it very limited and once a while, not a habit that you do almost every day, because then you will be letting go of the original objective of what you were trying to do. So here were the guidelines. Net, the idea is that you cannot rely on motivation. Rather, it's an enemy, because once it comes, very good, but as it goes away, it leaves you doubting yourself. So don't rely on motivation. Establish these guidelines, have your why called out, and then just work on the process of becoming someone who shows up. Once you become someone who shows up, you can ace anything, any goal, any challenge, you can master it. But you have to become a person who has that ability, who has the capability and the will to show up every time. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this video was helpful for you to now feel better about achieving your goals, and now would also help you give a guideline or would enable you to now create a process for yourself which you can use in order to become a person who shows up. In case you found value from this video, I'm sure you'll also find value from another video where I talk about how I'm trying to achieve my financial freedom and I talk about my journey. You can check out that video here. Other than that, I have another video on my channel where I talk about how you can go about working smart as against working hard. You can check out that video here. Thank you.